Right. Hi guys, how was you guys this week? Are you guys excited that it's Friday? Do you have any special plans? Oh, okay. You're gonna go to the park, Zayden? That's cool. All right. So to get us on track, we're going to be talking about today's lesson, and that is dealing with comparing and contrasting two different types of stories that are written by the same author. So I have up on the board the learning target and the standard that we're going to be focusing on. The standard is comparing and contrasting the themes, setting, and the plot of a story written by the same author about the same or similar characters. And the learning target is I can compare and contrast the story elements in a story written by the same author. Okay? So what exactly does compare and contrast mean? Oh, Axel? Okay. So you kind of said that compare means to find some things that are alike, while contrast means to find things that are different. Good. Does anybody else have any other suggestions or any other examples? Riley? Okay. So compare, you might be like comparing like two types of dog breeds or something. And to contrast, you might be like a dog or a cat. Okay. To kind of like compare the two pets. Okay. Yeah. So it's basically compare means to find something similar to it or like find things that are alike in based off of two items. And contrast means that you find something different, or you find like things that are not the same in two items. Okay. So now what about this fruit? So we have an orange and an apple up on the board. What is some things that we can compare and contrast? Peyton, what's one thing that you can compare and contrast? Okay, cool. So you said that compare that they both are types of juices, and that because you have orange juice and apple juice. Okay. And what's one thing that you can contrast? Okay. So the orange has a thick peel that you can peel with your hand, and then the apple kind of has a thin peel that like something you would use like a peeler or like a knife to kind of get rid of. Okay, good. So I want you guys to keep thinking about that and keep thinking about comparing and contrasting between the orange and the apple. Okay, I'm going to be passing around a post-it note. So on the front, you're going to be writing one comparison between the apple and the orange, and two, sorry, contractions. Okay, I want you guys to do one for an apple and an orange, so you should have two in total. All right, and then on the back, I want you guys to write your name, okay? I have the directions up on the board, and I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes to work on this in total. I'm going to walk around, and if you have any questions or any concerns, just raise your hand, okay? And go. All right, now that the 3 minutes are up, let's kind of talk about it. So what's some of the things that you guys wrote down? Parth? Okay. So you said that the orange was a tropical fruit because you've been down to Florida before and you've seen them kind of grown in a farm or something. Okay. What is another thing that you guys wrote down? Madeline? Okay. So you said that the apple is a red color while the orange is the color orange. Okay, good. What's something else? What's something that we can compare between the two? Riley? Okay, cool. They both good. They both go on trees. Nice. What's one more thing we can compare? Dominic? Okay, they're both fruits. All right, so to collect these, what I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to have you take your post-it notes and I'm going to call you up by your groups or by your tables, and you're going to put it under which fruit you liked best, the orange or the apple. Now, you can put it under the middle if you like both of them. But, yeah. So group 1, you can come up. Group 2, you can come up. Group 3, you can come up. And group 4. All right, 1, 2, 3. All this kit, you guys should all be sitting down now and ready to learn. All right. So, as we kind of discussed, here are some of our ideas and what we wrote down. That it has a thick peel, or the orange has a thick peel, the apple has a thin peel, it grows on trees. They're kind of juicy, and they're fruit, and an orange is tropical. All right, so now I'm going to put up an anchor chart up on the board. And I already have some of the areas filled out, but we're going to kind of talk about the areas that aren't filled out together, okay? And it's going to be talking about comparing and contrasting a story element with story elements. So what exactly is a story element? There are 6 of them. Can anybody name them? Rylan? Okay, good. So you named the problem, solution, and event. All right, so that's 3. So what are the other 3? Madeline? Okay, good. So you have character, setting, and theme. Exactly. So we're going to write that up here. Perfect. So now one of the notes that I have made is about the author. So author creates relationship among characters, setting, and events by developing interactions among the story elements. Good readers can identify the relationship between elements by comparing and contrasting them. Okay, so what does it mean to compare? Remember we talked about it? Exactly, yeah. That find things that are alike. So I have things written down that can kind of help us. So what are the similarities between these things? How are they alike? What similarities do you think are most important? And are there any different details that are both things have in common? So that is for comparison. So now let's talk about the contrast. So again, we're finding things that are different. So what are the differences between these things? How are they different? Which differences do you think are most important? And are there any details that are not in each other? Okay. And then I have at the bottom different kind of starters that will kind of lead you guys in the right direction to maybe writing a sentence about comparing and contrasting. So for example, comparing, you could say, they are similar because ... Or contrast is another difference is ... Okay? So again, here is the anchor chart. I'm going to leave it up on the board for the end of the lesson, and then when it's over, I'm going to be putting it in the back that you guys can draw back to and relate to later on during the week, okay? All right, so now we're going to watch a comparing and contrasting video. I want you guys to really pay attention on the characters, the setting, and the story elements that are going on. I am going to quiz you guys and ask you guys questions about the story, okay? So I want you guys to pay attention, all right?
Read the stories of author Lisa Duwally, whose books about the kids of Lakeston, Maine are among my favorites. Especially Pitches and Ponytails, the story of Jenny Peebles, the only female baseball player in the town's youth baseball league. But I also love Bats and Bait, the story of another little slugger, Derek Freeman, who would much rather be fishing than playing baseball. Let's bring in the professor to help us compare and contrast these 2 stories by the same author. Professor?
Thanks, Sophia. Even though these 2 stories are by the same author, we still have to ask ourselves what's the same and what's different in each story. Obviously, both books are by Lisa Duwally, and like all of her books, both are set in the fictional town of Lakeston, Maine. Both of these stories also focus on the theme of youth baseball. In Pitches and Ponytails, main character Jenny Peebles has to deal with the boys on her team not wanting to play with a girl. In Bats and Bait, Derek Freeman would rather be fishing, but he's playing baseball because his father wants him to.
So, even though both characters' take on baseball is very different, they both have big problems to solve because of this sport?
Exactly right, Sophia. Peebles sticks it out on the team and pitches a no-hitter, and the boys accept her as one of their own. Freeman has to have a long, honest talk with his father about fishing and baseball. And it turns out his dad loves fishing too.
It's really amazing how both of these stories were written by the same author, are set in the same town, and in the same league, but are very different stories. Here.
All right, so what is something that you guys noticed about the story elements? Now remember, who can say all 6 story elements? Madeline? Okay, good job. So remember, character, theme, setting, problem, solution, and event. Okay? So what about the story was similar between the two stories, Pitches and Ponytails and Bats and Bates? What's something that was similar between them that you can compare? Okay, thank you, Parth. They were both by Lisa Dewar. They were both written by her. Good. They were both written in the same small town. Okay. Now there's one more, kind of a major thing one. It was kind of the theme of the story. Peyton? Yeah, they both kind of focused around baseball. Good. So now what is something that we can contrast between the two stories? Dominic? Yeah. So the girl in Pitches and Ponytails, her name was Jenny. She wanted to play baseball, but the boys on her team didn't really want her to and didn't accept her at first, but then slowly did. And then in Bates and Bates, that's a tongue twister. He didn't want to play baseball, but his dad kind of like encouraged him to, but he really wanted to go fishing. And in the end, he was able to go fishing. His dad really enjoyed it and spent time with him. Yeah. So what to kind of tie in the character and story elements, what are some things that we can compare between the characters or contrast? Okay, so Pitches and Ponytails had Jenny Peebles, and Bait and Bats has Derek Freeman. Good. Now, what about the theme of this two stories? What could be the theme? Madeline? Okay, so you compared that they both were kind of about baseball, but one for Pitches and Ponytails, they were more talking about accepting people, while the Bats and Bait was more about Derek kind of wanting to do fishing instead of baseball, but just wanted to spend time with his dad. Okay, good. So here are the story elements again, just to kind of help you guys remember. And let's written down. So now one last thing. What is the setting? What was the setting in both the stories? You can compare or contrast them. Axel? Okay, good. So they both lived in Lakeside, Maine, and they both kind of had a setting of like a baseball field. Good. So that's written up on the board. All right. So to kind of end up this lesson and kind of tie it all in together, I'm going to be passing around the story. This has story 1 and story 2, okay? So it's comparing and contrasting the two stories. They're both about sports, and they both kind of discuss what these students do and what items and stuff they play during the sports. And I'm also going to be passing around a Venn diagram. In case you haven't dealt with a Venn diagram before or are confused about it, you would write story 1 and story 2, and these are the two that are circles that are different. You are comparing these two. And in the little area in the middle, you are writing down what was similar. So for example, both of the stories have to deal with sports. So you would write both of the stories deal with sports, or both of the students do sports. And then for one side, you could talk about one student does swimming. In story 2, the student does swimming. While in story 1, the student does track. Okay? So you just want to compare, write the comparison in here, and write the contrast on the outside, okay? If you guys have any questions or are confused, let me know and I'll gladly help you guys, okay? I have the story up on the board and I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes to kind of write your answers down, okay? I'm going to be walking around and helping you guys if need be. All right. So to collect those items, can you hand the Venn diagrams, the stuff that you were writing on, to person 1 in your group? And then can you hand up the stories to person 2 in your group? And I'm going to go around and collect those. All right, thank you. All right, so I have up on the board to kind of wrap up our lesson and to finish it off. I have the standard and the learning target. I want you guys to reflect on how you guys did and if you guys understand what the main idea and like what the learning target was, okay? So remember, the standard was comparing and contrasting the theme, setting, and plot of stories written by the same author or about same or similar characters, while the learning target is I can compare and contrast the story elements in a story written by the same author. So I just kind of want you guys to give me a thumbs up, thumbs down on how you guys feel about it and if you feel like you kind of work towards it. All right, good. I see a lot of thumbs up. And if you're confused on it, or if you didn't quite understand it, or if you gave me a thumbs down, you can come talk to me anytime during the day, and I'll kind of work on the lesson again with you, okay? All right, so if you guys can, clean up your areas and line up so that we can get ready to go to gym. All right, bye.